You are officially being treated like blind kittens. While you obediently stare at the 3 pyramids of Giza, an entire empire is being hidden right under your nose, buried beneath the sands in the very heart of the Sahara. The Sahara is not a creation of nature. It is a massive piece of evidence, hastily showered with dust to hide the traces of a planetary catastrophe. They sell us Egypt as a bunch of poor souls with digging sticks by a river. That is nonsense for those who don't know how to use their eyes. The Sahara is a zone of total cleansing. Beneath the dunes rot metropolises whose architecture makes modern skyscrapers look like cardboard boxes. The archaeological elite knows the truth, but they tremble with fear. If they admit that thousands of pyramids lie beneath the sands of the Sahara, the entire history of the world would have to be thrown into the trash overnight. This isn't a desert, it's a tool of censorship, an artificially created vacuum where technologies are buried that corporations today would kill for. They forced us to forget the center of the world, turning it into a lifeless hell on maps so that we would never discover whose heirs we truly are. Why do NATO forces and Egyptian special services patrol empty dunes where, officially, there is nothing but thorns? Who are they afraid to let out from underground? We are beginning to pull back the veil, and the first thing we will destroy is the myth that the Sahara was always dry. Prepare to see proof that life was scorched here intentionally. The ash of a civilization. The sand of the Sahara is not a product of erosion. It is cities ground into dust, melted into a state of glass. While officials sing songs about gradual drying, physics reveals the truth. The center of the continent was turned into a searing oven in a single hour. We are walking on the ashes of a civilization that was literally evaporated out of reality. On satellite images without filters, the Sahara looks like a giant burn on the planet's body. Under a microscope, every grain of sand is a fused crystal that emerged in the epicenter of a thermal hell. It is the perfect crime. To hide the greatness of ancient Egypt, its architecture was turned into dust, covered by billions of tons of a quartz shroud. The archaeological elite is afraid to admit that beneath the dunes lie not bones, but mechanisms, preserved in radioactive glass. Isotopic anomalies in deep layers of sand confirm the golden age of Egypt ended not with a drought, but with a strike that evaporated the rivers. This is an exclusion zone being passed off as a natural landscape. Who felt the need to burn the heart of the world into glass, and why is entry to the central sectors of the desert forbidden today? The answer is hidden in the diaries of 19th century explorers who saw what is being erased from maps today. We are beginning the hunt for the coordinates of the ghost pyramids that still pulse in the radio spectrum. The archaeological mafia official Egyptologists have branded ancient texts as fairy tales for years so that you wouldn't notice the main point. They contain exact routes to giant cities in the center of the Sahara. While you search for tombs in Giza, secret archives hold data on pyramids that dwarf Khufu's, but have been erased from all modern maps. In the 19th century, the first expeditions relied on papyri, where shining mountains in the depths of the Libyan desert were described in plain language. Explorers of that time sketched structures that are today dismissed as heat-induced hallucinations. These texts are not mythology. They are technical atlases describing the empire's navigation network. The archaeological mafia intentionally narrowed Egypt down to the banks of the Nile, turning a great power into a pathetic river principality. The true power centers of the Sahara were struck from history as soon as it became clear. Their architecture does not fit the theory of slave labor and copper chisels. We found mentions of structures that served as beacons for those very flying ships, and these coordinates suspiciously coincide with zones where all flights are prohibited today. What forced the cartographers of the past to abruptly change the atlases, and why is there not a word about the golden pyramids of the Sahara in modern textbooks? The answer is hidden in the fate of a man who found them in the 1930s. Sir William Flinders Pitts saw something that cost him his career and led to his oblivion. We are opening his private diary. The digital curtain Google Maps is not a window into the world. It is a digital curtain. While you look at your house from a satellite, entire squares in the heart of the Sahara are blurred or painted over with endless layers of fake clouds. Where algorithms draw a void, Infrared scanners record giant, angular shadows that the wind could never create. Independent enthusiasts who managed to download raw images before correction have blown up the internet. Outlines of perfect octagons and colossal pyramidal bases are emerging beneath the Sahara's dunes. The geometry of these objects excludes a natural origin. Nature does not build with a ruler or observe the golden ratio across tens of kilometers. These structures are not just ruins, but parts of a single organism that shows through the sand like a skeleton under skin. Official bodies call this a play of light or terrain features, but then why do these features emit a thermal signature even in the dead of night? We are dealing with a preserved infrastructure that is still consuming or producing energy, breaking through kilometers of quartz shielding. If these are just rocks, then why do sensors from Google and NASA manually scrub the coordinates of these objects on updated maps? What exactly are they afraid to show the public in real time? The answer lies in the story of the man who first tried to map these points by hand. We move to the forgotten expedition of Pitts, the Forbidden Expedition. In the 1930s, Sir William Flinders Pitts made a fatal mistake. He found what officially should not have existed. His reports of black pyramids in the center of the Sahara were not just ridiculed, they were seized by intelligence services, and the explorer himself was erased from the history of archaeology, cast as a senile old man. Based on ancient navigation maps, Pitts delved into areas of the desert that even Bedouins are afraid to enter. In his private diaries, which miraculously survived the purging of the archives, he describes structures made of an unknown dark alloy rising hundreds of meters above the sands. These were not the tombs of pharaohs, but technical giants, devoid of entrances or hieroglyphs. Pitts recorded strange activity. Compasses near these objects spun like mad, and the men accompanying him complained of a crushing hum coming directly from underground. The expedition was shut down as an emergency, funding was cut off, and all the photographic plates brought back were declared overexposed. They tried to convince us he found nothing, but then why is his route still a restricted military zone today? What forced the British government to classify Pitts' diaries for 100 years? We have gained access to fragments of his final entries, where he describes an energy grid connecting the Sahara to other continents. Are you ready to learn that the pyramids are not monuments, but components of a massive machine? We move to the technical breakdown of the Egyptian electrical grid. Forget the tales of tombs and mummies. The Great Pyramids were never cemeteries. They are giant terminals for the wireless transmission of energy. The Giza you are shown as tourists is only the tip of the iceberg, a distribution board fed by colossal generators hidden deep within the Sahara. The internal structure of the pyramids, with their chambers of dielectrics and conducting granite channels, is the blueprint of a waveguide, not the project of a funeral architect. The Sahara was studded with these masts that resonated with the Earth's frequencies, creating a global network of free energy. This is exactly why air ionization and unexplained electromagnetic bursts are still recorded around empty spots in the desert today. Official science is terrified and closes its eyes to the fact that the ancient Egyptians were not slave builders, but high-class power engineers. The desert hides the ruins of stations that could light up entire continents without a single wire, and it is this very fact that makes the Sahara the most guarded zone on the planet. Why is the modern corporate elite so afraid to admit that free electricity technology worked thousands of years ago? The answer is simple. Oil and gas are worth nothing if a perpetual motion machine of the ancients is running beneath your feet. But what if these stations are still in standby mode? We move to the shocking discoveries of the 21st century. The war for reality, modern rogue archaeologists have stumbled upon objects in the center of the Sahara that officials were quick to declare modern fakes or mirages. Of course they were, because these artifacts show traces of water erosion dating back 5,000 years, which shatters the dry desert theory and makes history textbooks look like a collection of jokes. In the deep sectors of the Sahara, fragments of casing and blocks with high-precision machine processing have been discovered that do not belong to any known dynasty. When independent research groups provided chemical analysis data indicating the use of geopolymer concrete and unknown isotopes, the academic mafia switched to total ignorance mode. These finds directly prove that industrial centers functioned in the heart of the desert, while the rest of the world, according to the official version, was running around with stone axes. Instead of starting excavations, international foundations are pulling grants from anyone who dares to confirm the authenticity of these objects. A war is being fought for the right to define reality, and the truth about the Sahara is the main threat to those who built our history on lies. Why are high-tech artifacts being passed off as natural rocks or forgeries? Who benefits from us believing in our primitive past? The answer lies in the technologies that allowed these cities to vanish right before our eyes. We move to the most incredible part: how to hide a metropolis under the sand overnight. The molecular shield. You look for ruins, but the ancients controlled matter itself. The cities of the Sahara were not covered by sand gradually, they were preserved instantly. There are molecular densification technologies that allowed metropolises to literally grow into subspace, becoming unreachable to those looking for them with a shovel. The version that the Egyptian elite possessed methods for changing the density of matter is confirmed by anomalies in closed sectors. Instruments record voids the size of residential blocks, but a physical drill hits impenetrable sand with a hardness exceeding diamond. These are not just dunes, but an active masking system that turns engineering centers into invisible objects. The cities have not disappeared. They have been switched to standby mode and closed by a kinetic sand shield. Official science calls this natural accumulation to hide the fact. A sleeping power capable of distorting the laws of physics lies beneath your feet. We are dealing with a technology that turned an entire empire into a ghost at the very moment of its triumph. How do you hide a metropolis under the sand overnight? And why do thermal images see the outlines of streets where void officially exists? The answer lies in the status of these territories. We move to the most dangerous part: why military bases stand on these lands and why entry is forbidden even to the scientific elite. The Forbidden Gates. You won't find the most important points of the Sahara in brochures. They are surrounded by barbed wire and erased from maps. Why are NATO bases and special forces deployed on lifeless patches of sand where officially there is nothing? The answer is simple. They are not guarding borders, they are guarding entrances. Try to fly over the central plateaus of the Sahara. You will be intercepted faster than you can aim your camera. Officially, these are training zones, but the reality is much larger. For decades, intelligence agencies have been conducting excavations, bypassing all oversight, extracting technologies that will never reach the public domain. This isn't archaeology, it's looting the ruins of gods. Huge territories are declared unfit so that you don't stumble upon the airlocks leading deep into the preserved metropolises. The elites know the key to world domination is hidden under the sand, and they have no intention of sharing it. We are dealing with a global conspiracy to withhold the truth about the power sleeping beneath the dunes. What do radars record in areas where even nomads are forbidden to go? Why are reports of glows over the desert instantly scrubbed? The time for the finale has come. Are you ready to admit that your history is merely dust over a magnificent past? We move to the conclusion. For the last 100 years, there hasn't been a single breakthrough in Egyptology despite the power of modern technology. This is no accident. Official archaeology is not a science, but a ministry of control whose task is to bury back into the ground anything that accidentally surfaces. There exists a reality cleansing protocol. As soon as an object is found in the Sahara that does not fit the dogma of primitive ancestors, representatives from international foundations arrive on site. The area is immediately declared a closed zone, and the finds disappear into private vaults. Scientists who attempt to publish data on machine-tooled stone or isotopic anomalies are stripped of grants and branded as fringe theorists. This is a global filter that allows only fairy tales about clay shards to reach you, cutting off any evidence of the Sahara's technological superiority. We are forced to look at dust, while the elites hide mechanisms that would change our very understanding of human capability. Who do those who decide what is fact and what is delusion answer to? Who pays so that the cities in the desert remain ghosts? We have reached the very edge. It is time to assemble the mosaic into a final strike. We move to the conclusion, the final verdict. The Sahara is not the end of Egypt's story, but its beginning, a beginning that has been locked away from us. While you believe in dry textbooks, the heart of a civilization capable of erasing the modern world with the push of a button continues to pulse beneath the scorched glass of the desert. We haven't found answers only because we were forbidden from asking the questions. Everything we are used to calling ancient history is but miserable crumbs from the table of titans. The Great Purge of the Sahara was conducted not by nature, but by those who feared competition with the true masters of the earth. Today's military bases on the sand and the censorship of satellite imagery are a desperate attempt to hold down the lid of a sarcophagus that is already beginning to crack. Isotopic anomalies, vitrified cities, and wireless energy technologies prove it. We are not the pinnacle of evolution, but temporary tenants on the ruins of giants. The Sahara is slowly yielding its secrets, and when the sand finally stops hiding the truth, only those who are ready to accept it will survive. It is time to realize that our entire reality is merely a backdrop at the scene of a planetary-scale crime. The time for blind faith has passed. We have lanced this abscess, and now the choice is yours. Continue looking at tourist postcards of Giza, or look into the abyss that is staring back at you from beneath the dunes. Subscribe if you are ready to go further. Ahead lies the analysis of Arctic archives and what is hidden under the ice that has begun to melt suspiciously fast.